Right. I believe recording is on. Okay, great. So welcome everyone to the November 2019 edition of the Linkerd Community Online Meetup. For those of you in the US, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so not very many people are sitting around staring at their computer screen, but we are your friendly Linkerd friends. So we have the brief agenda here. I don't know if we'll go for the full hour, but I at least wanted to cover a couple of things. One is a quick update on Linkerd 2.7 and all the cool stuff that is going on in there. Oh, hey, Tarun. Oh, you're in the same time zone. Okay, good. Yeah, so this probably feels a little more normal to you. Let's see, who else do we have on here? Alejandro. Hey, Boris. All right.
Hey.
Yeah, a little housekeeping. We're doing this over Zoom. It's going to be recorded. We'll put it up on YouTube. This is how we've done the past couple sessions. There is some fancy Zoom technology for doing Q&A and stuff, but we haven't mastered that yet. So just if you have questions as things go along, type them right into the chat window, which I'm looking at, and Oliver and Thomas are looking at, and we'll do our best to get to them. And I think that's all you need to know. There is a meetup group for this, so if you want email announcements and reminders, and just join the meetup group. And then all the minutes, I'm going to do my best to like type in notes in this docs that I've shared, and I pasted the link into Slack. It's a public Google Doc. All right, so that's housekeeping. So yeah, what I wanted to at least run over today was State of 2.7. Kind of a brief summary of all the KubeCon madness for those of you who didn't make it there. And the good news is most of the talks and things are already online. And there was a lot of fun Linkerd stuff there. I wanted to do our usual Linkerd heroes and talk about some of the cool stuff that's happening in the world of PRs. And then we'll do some Q&A. If anyone has any Qs, we will have As. All right, sound good? So I'm the beautiful face of Linkerd, William Morgan, and you may recognize me from readme.md. Thomas and Oliver, you folks want to introduce yourselves?
Well, fine then. I guess I'll go. My name's Thomas. I am the less beautiful face of Linkerd, and that person who always tries to answer your questions in Slack.
And I'm Oliver, and I am apparently the Miles Davis of Surface Mesh.
Yeah, that's right. I like this persona. I consider myself the Beethoven of Surface Mesh, so
you're the Kenny G.
I'm the Kenny G. And what's Thomas then?
Very successful.
What is Thomas then? Is he like the Trent Reznor?
I'll take Trent Reznor.
Yeah. You just need like some scissor noises in the background. All right, so yeah, I don't know if we'll go for the full hour, but let's see how it goes. So how about, let's start with the much discussed Linkerd 2.7, which is our next major milestone. What's going on in the world of 2.7?
So Oliver's going to jump in for the really big part, but the one I'm most excited about is we spent quite a bit of time in the 2.7 release focusing on cert management and rotation and trying to figure out how that all works. The original Linkerd cluster, or we have older Linkerd clusters that are running on root certs that have year expiration on them, and that's coming up real soon. And so we've been spending a bunch of time trying to put docs together to figure out how all of that fits together. So that's kind of been the big piece, and audited cert manager integration by using the existing secret.
So if you have an older cluster, what are we talking, like 2.3, 2.4?
2.4 forward.
What should you do other than immediately upgrade?
Mostly just end up waiting until we've got the docs together, because there's no one that will explode imminently. But one of the biggest things that we're adding are stuff like check will now give you a heads up as to whether it's a valid certificate and how long you've got to wait. But there will be docs soon that explain the steps that are required to get out of the potentially broken state once you hit 364 days.
Is this a critical and imminent?
To my understanding, there are no clusters that are that old.
Okay.
So most folks should be fine. And we'll have the docs out as part of the 2.7 release. And so nothing to worry about right now.
Okay, great. So that is cert management and rotation of the control plane. What else is going on in 2.7?
So the other big chunk of work is moving forward the TLS roadmap towards mandatory TLS. But the next step is really being able to do auditing of all connections to know their TLS state, whether they're TLS'd by the mesh, whether they're TLS'd by the application, or not TLS at all. And so that's required a bunch of data plane work in the proxy. Kind of very similar to the work we were doing setting up for 2.3 by rearranging a bunch of the proxy internals to set up for that type of discovery on the HTTP stack. Now we're doing a similar set of work for arbitrary TCP, non-HTTP connections. And so that's taking, as we've said last month, that's a bunch of refactor work that we've been pushing forward across the control plane and data plane. And with that, we're taking a little bit more time to make sure we QA this well, because we're adding a bunch of new discovery connections onto the control plane. And so we want to make sure that those are pretty stable before we ship that extra load. And two, we're going to be adding a ton of new metrics so that we can really show all of these connections into Prometheus. And so we'll be doing a little QA work and probably soliciting a few more RCs especially for the folks with larger staging clusters that we can test on.
All right.
And I think it's pretty important to call out a major change of this is traditionally, for those folks who don't know, we've done service discovery off of the host header, and that host header needed to be.
To do so, by the way.
Say that again, Oliver.
And we will continue to do so, by the way.
Off of the host header, yes.
Okay.
But the piece in there that was confusing to folks sometimes was that we would do the discovery off of the service name. And so actually I saw a conversation in Slack earlier today about folks confused about why their IP addresses in the host header weren't getting discovered. And so one of the big changes as part of getting the TCP MTLS to work is to actually do it off of the IP addresses as well. And so you'll actually start to see better metrics across the board, which goes into the point that Oliver was making. At the moment, the Linkerd edges command is awesome, but it has a bunch of caveats on top of it that are going to be going away with this release because the metrics are going to get quite a bit more verbose.
All right, that's what I like. User-facing changes. Cool. And then do we need help? I put here we need your help testing, I assume. Is there something more? Is there like a more concrete thing you can ask? Is this like take the latest edge release and run a bunch of traffic through it?
Well, I think we'll be soliciting into the users list probably as we have those RCs ready. But for now, I think what we want are folks to keep testing the edges and giving us good feedback. We've had a bunch of active discussions in Slack and in GitHub recently that have helped us work through some of these new features. Keep the feedback coming, as always.
Keep the feedback coming. All right. All righty. No questions from anyone about 2.7. I guess they're just so astounded Oh, Mosen's here. Hey, Mosen.
Well, we've been talking about 2.7 for a few of these meetings now, so.
So do we want to put a finger to the air and predict a time frame for 2.7 landing?
I think we'll have our Cs in December, but it's a hard time to get feedback, and most folks are out of the office, et cetera. So we're not going to rush something out before the new year unless we feel confident in it.
Yeah, okay. So probably RCs in December, but we'll need time to test. And this is a hard time of year to get testing from the community. All right. Okie dokie. Anything else we want to point out on 2.7? Status on track.
And yeah, and we're also in the midst of doing a bunch of 2.8 design work so that we can figure out how those features are going to dovetail with what we're doing now. And so there's a few issues up on GitHub for folks who want to get involved in those discussions now.
Oh, yeah. Do we want to say anything about 2.8? I didn't even put this on here. But is there anything we want to mention?
Yeah, I think we should talk about what 2.8 is looking like right now and what we're going to need help on for sure.
All right, hit me. I'm ready.
So William is getting his Christmas present, which is going to be us digging into multi-cluster support in Linkerd. And so 2.8 is really looking like we're going to spend a bunch of time on the multi-cluster story. And to Oliver's point, we've got a couple issues open. And in particular, we really, really need y'all's feedback on what we're going to be doing to make sure that it actually fits with what you're looking on multi-cluster. I've done a lot of conversations with folks so far, but we're kind of taking a unique approach to this, and some validation that this is going to solve your problems would be really great. At the moment, we've just got the issues up. We've been working on a POC to make sure that this all fits together, kind of going through the normal community design process that we've got. And probably next week or the week after, we'll have a more formal doc up for folks to really dig in and start making comments on. So expect that coming up soon.
Okay, cool. So we have a POC in PR form. Do you want people to take a look at that now?
No.
No, don't look at it. Okay.
It is a POC in the ultimate sense. And so
Yeah.
I would hate for folks to go take a look at it and be misled in any way, because we're still trying to sort out the implementation details.
Yeah, we're still discovering requirements. We're not in the tell if this work properly yet.
Yeah, okay, great. Anything else?
But the general issues, or if people want to do whiteboarding with us or any kind of conversations on multi-cluster and what your needs are, this is a great time to engage the project and
What's
have that discussion.
If they want to get involved, what's the best way for them to get involved?
Thomas?
Comment on the issue. I will drop the issue into the comments here in chat, and reach out to me on Slack. If it's a feature that you care about, I will have 40 million questions for you that will be done best over Slack and or in person and or whiteboarding. So go through the issue. If you've got more questions and are interested, jump on Slack and chat with me there.
We did have a doc floating around. Do we want to encourage more people looking at that doc, or is that doc now past its usefulness?
No, I think the doc is definitely worth looking at least to understand the reference architecture that we're making better.
All right. And I think I can look at that. Linkerd I can't see anything. Multi-cluster. Okay, all right. So this is another public doc. So let's put this in here. Nothing like a URL to a Google Docs in text form in a Google Doc. Hyperlinks have come a long way. Okay, and you're going to paste the, oh yeah, there it is. Thank you, Thomas. Let me get this link up here. Okay. And in fact, I'm even going to linkify these links in here. Look at this. All righty, cool. Anything else we want to talk about for 2.8?
I think that's the high level. We're still trying to solidify the rest of the functionality that's going to be going in, but that's kind of the best thing that we need feedback on right now.
Although I want to float a larger thing around MultiCluster, which I would love the community to get a little more engaged with in general, is just it's a big word that means that kind of can fit a lot of different features and requirements. And so as I was talking to some folks at KubeCon, and they're saying, well, I don't even know if it makes sense to fail over at the service level versus the cluster level. Like, what are the set of concerns that actually help us make those decisions of whether these features are even useful, right? There's a lot of things that are theoretically useful features that may not actually make any sense to run in any real production environment. And we get a lot of those theoretical feature requests. So I really want to facilitate in the community some of these discussions around the architecture patterns, what the right reference architectures are, with people who actually have production concerns, because I think that's a conversation that's just not happening in the community much right now.
All right, so your call to action in the community is what are the concrete, what would you say, concrete?
Like, we want like production ready patterns, right? What are the architecture patterns for running Kubernetes app, like microservices? This is a place where, you know, we can participate and have opinions, but the folks running actual large microservices are going to have a lot more input here.
And that's really why we threw the reference architecture doc together first from a Kubernetes primitive instead of including the service mesh in it at all, because to Oliver's point, we've discovered that a lot of folks are trying to solve things like basic networking and routing issues that the service mesh never could solve well, and there's better solutions for. And so getting those patterns together and listing them, I think, are a huge win for the community in general. One of the coolest things that's come out of Kubernetes is that folks who spent all of their time doing nothing but keeping VMs up to date now can go look at the patterns that some of only the web scale companies have been able to do in the past.
Yeah.
And this might be a thing that we should be driving through the CNCF and user groups ultimately, but it seems like a nice conversation that this community should be having at the very least.
Okay, great. For those of you, we got a couple folks joining late. For those of you joining late, there is some fancy Zoom Q&A feature, but I don't know how to use it. So if you have questions, type them into the chat, which I'm looking at, and I will direct them to the appropriate destination. I will route them. All right, cool. So that's let's see. So that's 2.7, and then a sneak peek of what we're what's on the roadmap for 2.8. And here we're targeting, I guess, time frame wise, first half of next year.
I think Q1 is really our goal, but we will see how 2.7 goes at this point.
Yeah, especially the testing and validation stuff, which is not really under our control.
I mean, we will naturally shift from a feature development phase to a, test it as best as we can phase as that wraps up. But the community can help accelerate that for sure.
Yeah. All right. Wanted earlier, help us test 2.7 RCs. Gotta pay the price. All right. Cool. So next up on my little agenda is a brief recap of Linkerd at KubeCon San Diego, which was just last week. If you're wondering why Thomas is sitting in the dark, looking exhausted, it's because of KubeCon.
There were 12,000 attendees, I guess. We took up half of the San Diego Convention Center, which is where the Comic-Con is, and had a 45,000 person Twitch con a couple weeks ago. It was by far the biggest KubeCon I've ever been to.
I can't believe that there are conferences larger than 12,000 because this already seemed immense to me.
I just don't even know how to reason with it. That said, we skipped out on Dreamforce, which was by far the biggest win.
Oh my gosh, that was great timing. I hope the CNCF does that. again next year. Let's time it so that everyone in San Francisco can avoid Dreamforce. Okay.
Road trip down there, and on the way back got stuck in a sandstorm, and I think I need a new windshield now. So that's cool.
Oliver got stuck in a sandstorm and needs a new windshield. All right.
Maybe the CNCF will help cover that. We'll find out.
Expense, please. All right, great. We'll send that. Like Tyler's on the call. He probably has some kind of pull there. Yeah, just send your bill straight to Tyler. So I would characterize the amount of Linkerd content there as lots.
I mean,
it's very specific.
I was really impressed with, the community keeps growing, the group at the conference keeps growing, and there's so many new people there, but the level of questions that we're getting around Linkerd really matures every 6 months. We do these every 6 months or so, and every 6 months the questions keep getting better and better, and much further from the like, how do I think about a service mesh at all, to how do I do X thing with it, which is really the conversations we want to be having. So it feels like the community is really starting to listen to it.
The quality of the service mesh conversation, questions is definitely increasing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I wanted to I put this blog post together yesterday, so I'll just put it in here too, but this is a little roundup of most of at least the talks. There's a bunch of stuff here I didn't cover, like things that happened at Service Mesh Con, which was the day before. I put a picture of the day one keynote with a project update, but I don't think I called it out in the blog post. But there was a great talk by our friends at Nordstrom talking about their extended service mesh journey, there and back again, ending up on Linkerd, which of course is nice, 2.x. And it was really nice. I think I met Cody in person before, but it was really nice to meet Hema and to reconnect with Cody. Charles, who you might also see on the Linkerd Slack, gave a talk with Alex Ellis, founder of the OpenFAS project. So if you want serverless, and Alex has been here on a previous community call giving a demo of some of this stuff, but if you like serverless and service mesh, these two projects go really well together, and they have a similar philosophy around minimalism.
This is a really good demo in that talk. I definitely recommend checking out the demo.
We had a couple Microsoft talks, one with Ivan, who you'll often see on and who you'll see on the Slack, and he's also on the call. Hey, Ivan, great job on this talk with Rita about enforcing TLS using OPA and an OPA project called Gatekeeper. It was really cool. And Brian Redmond gave a talk about supercharging your microservices CI/CD. And we also had a talk from Anna at Paybase and Risha from Buoyant about debugging the service mesh. I really like this one because it was a service mesh creator and a service mesh adopter, and how they had to work together to fix bugs in. Apparently, there's
so this talk started in Barcelona. I sat down with Anna probably for a few hours in Barcelona and helped her debug some of these initial issues, and then that continued over GitHub, and then that resulted in this talk, which is actually a pretty insightful way of navigating debugging in microservice.
So yeah, I really like this one. I also really like the fact that it had like some tips for how to create good issues, when you do think there's a bug in Linkerd.
But also I want to call out that the conferences are a great place to do debugging. It can be really hard for us to really pair over Slack on some of these issues. And so if you have questions or kind of persistent weirdness that you want to look at with us, use the conferences. It's a great
come to a conference.
Yeah. Or a meetup or any other thing that we're doing.
Oliver and I did our usual intro and deep dive pair of talks. So probably if you were on this call, you might not need the intro, but the deep dive will be interesting for you. You can send the intro to your parents.
The deep dive this time was a little bit less technical than I've done in the past, but I tried to talk through really why Linkerd exists and the sets of lessons that inform the project and where it's going.
Great. Yeah, so that's definitely worth checking out. I got a little bit of press. It's a battle against Istio, apparently, which that's not really what how I would frame it, but you know, everyone likes a good fight. We did our hats as usual. The Buoyant booth was giving out Linkerd hats. I got some awesome, people were tweeting awesome photos of all the Linkerd apparel. I really like this one. It's like, it's a serious Linkerd look.
Very color coordinated, the background and everything.
Like, yeah, it's almost like a poster. Yeah, so Linkerd isn't just the best service mesh, it's also make you cool.
It's also a lifestyle brand.
Yeah. Well, you know, we should do this. I think we should branch out into clothing, because apparently it's like, I don't know, we stumbled into a good look. All right, so that was KubeCon. It was a ton of fun, and all the talks are online. So check out that blog post. You know, if you couldn't make it there in person, which I understand because it's expensive to get there and expensive to attend and time-consuming, almost all that content is online.
But the best part is the hallway track. So if you can come to chat with people.
Yeah, well, you know, the reality is I don't actually. This is my conference secret. I never go to any of the talks. I just watch the videos later because mostly I want to be there for the hallway track. Whether that's worth the steep price, I don't know, but that's my technique. You should definitely attend the Linkerd talks. All right, Thomas, I know it's been a complicated and busy month, I guess, with KubeCon and KubeCon prep and all that stuff, but is there anyone that you have noticed, and actually I'll extend this to anyone who's on the call right now, does anyone want to nominate a Linkerd hero for the past month? Someone who's done a particularly good job making PRs or doc edits or helping people in Slack.
I had a great one, and I was going to paste the link into all the PRs he did. Joaquin went through and did a ton of refactors of the build scripts inside of Linkerd to go make them POSIX compliant, and not only did an awesome job with the PRs themselves, or not only was it a great contribution, but he also did a really, really great job with the PR themselves, which is kind of what I wanted to call out, because as a community, it's almost impossible for us to code review it when someone gives us a 10,000 line diff. I'm sure that everyone has seen that before. And he did a really great job of chunking it out so that it was little bite-sized pieces that we could review as time went on. So not only was it a great contribution, but also it was easy to get in, which was just fantastic. And I will find a link to these in just a second here.
Man, all these Zoom windows are making my, it's like I can't navigate anything anymore. All right, I'm gonna move this over here, this one over here. Now I can see my screen.
I want to call out the duo of Zahari and Ivan for working through the cert manager stuff. It's been pretty tricky, and I think they did a really good job with it.
All right, let me add that to the list, and then Thomas, I'm gonna need you to spell Joaquin for me. All right.
Yeah, let me find the
Sim and
the PRs here.
Ooh, what's Zahari's last name? I forget.
I threw it into the chat.
Okay, I'll just put Zahari. Someone tells me. So sorry, Thomas. Oliver, you said cert manager.
Yeah, the work they did to split to make the certs manageable by external things like cert manager, it was really good work and done very quickly. And they're a team that works in, I think, 10-hour time difference, so they've been doing a good job handing off there.
Yeah, that one in particular is interesting, and it was actually a little bit of a tricky contribution because we needed to be able to get the trust root and the identity certificate and the identity key all from the same secret, which is pretty different than things have happened in the past. And so we had to do a little bit of rejiggering there. In fact, we've got a Helm PR open at the moment from a community member to make it that experience quite a bit easier.
All right, tons of work for Joaquin. You said making the build scripts POSIX compliant.
Yep.
Somebody out there cares about the important stuff. Thank you, Joaquin.
Yeah. Well, this is the kind of stuff I like to feature in the. Oh yeah, look at all that.
Yeah, and this was really my point of there were that many PRs that he provided, and they're all small bite-sized ones that are easy to review, which is even more important when you're doing build scripts. So.
All right, I got his name. He's going officially in the doc. Go.
Oh.
All right.
That's how you know you're a hero, when you come up full bold and H1.
Yeah. Okay. There's what happened here? There we go. There was a ton of stuff that's been going on. Wow. Oh, there's Tarun. Oh wait, is that a bug?
Yeah.
How do I filter to just PRs? Is
you go to PR screen instead of the issue screen?
Oh, is okay. Right. Thank you, GitHub, for fixing me. Man, there's been a ton of stuff going on.
Yep. We haven't had a whole ton of big features land, just a bunch of small polish features, which is absolutely fantastic because we've been doing a bunch of feature development this year. It's nice to start to get dashboard PRs to polish things, and the cert manager is really kind of something that we should have done in the beginning, but is getting taken care of. And, all of the rest of that's been just great.
Also, in my day-to-day life, I usually use the CLI and don't always load up the dashboard, but I loaded up the dashboard past week. It's improved substantially. So if you haven't used the UI in a while, I would run Linkerd dashboard and click around. It keeps getting better. Carol especially is doing great work there.
Let me throw it in there. Carol Scott for continued dashboard improvements. Yeah, dashboard's looking really good.
It's gotten so much faster. I mean, just by taking out a bunch of unnecessary status checks and things like that, we're calling API.
And if anyone wants to see a just crazy deep dive into dashboard performance, Sergio did a comment on an issue, I believe, that's got 5 different ways to speed the dashboard up with graphs on what they do and how to solve it. And it's a masterclass in doing performance optimization, in my opinion.
Okay. 5-part analysis. All right. We'll have to find that issue and throw it in here. Okay, heroes of the month. Maybe we should all. All right, cool. Okay, so normally we have like a demo, but given that it's the day before Thanksgiving, I didn't really have the energy to try and wrangle someone up. So I thought we would go straight to Stump the Maintainer. Now's your opportunity, and anyone who successfully stumps a maintainer gets a prize. I don't know what the prize is, but now's your opportunity to ask your hardest questions into the group chat and watch Oliver and Thomas struggle to answer them live and recorded. Who's going first? Stump the Maintainer. Now's your
No
turn.
questions. You're just going to hear me complain about other open source projects for the next 15 minutes. So.
Well, that actually sounds really entertaining. All right. No, I don't see anyone. Asking questions. Tyler,
I think everyone got
hats are fire.
Everyone who probably wanted to stump us stumped us at KubeCon.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
more than once, for better or worse.
Tyler, have we given you a hat? You deserve one for being on this call. Okay, well, so maybe we've got no Stump the Maintainer questions, or maybe they are all in the form of GitHub issues reporting strange performance.
That's the best place to stump us.
Yeah. Okay, any complaints you want to air about other open source projects? Any drama that we want to stir?
I don't know how public I want to be about this right now because I'm still working on it.
Oh.
Next time, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if they fix my issue or not.
Let's take a vote of what project do we hate the most. No, we're not going to do that. All open source projects are equally beautiful and wonderful, but Linkerd is the most beautiful.
Some of them are more maintained than others. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oliver, are you picking on SSH?
No, I'm not. No, I'm picking on.
This is obscure. This is a real obscure one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining. It's I hope if you're not on the call now that you enjoyed hearing us talk for 30 minutes.
Yeah, play this as you're trying to fall asleep at night. Our soothing voices will lull you to sleep.
And definitely check out the YouTube CNCF channel. Has a whole bunch of interesting talks about Linkerd and otherwise some really interesting stuff around Kubernetes security I recommend checking out. So if you were in a KubeCon or if you were and didn't get to go to the talks like me, check out the YouTube. There's a lot of cool stuff on there.
Yeah, there was some great stuff. And thanks again for joining us. We're going to do this again in 1 month. Sign up for the meetup group because that's the easiest way to get email notifications. Otherwise, set my tweets to device follow.
2020, baby. It'll be a whole new year.
Yeah. All right. Until then, thanks to everyone in the Linkerd community. We'll see you next time.